Se ci accomodiamo, iniziamo anche il quarto panel, che in realtà è un round table. As I was saying to Mark Bisset, the first panel in the afternoon proved to be always the more difficult. Today in particular, we have sun shining outside, and people is very reluctant in coming back to this, even beautiful room. But I really ask everybody to make an effort, because we have an exceptional round table. We have Mark Bisset from Clyde Co, who will moderate the round table. We have again Captain Pietro Zaccari. We have Gianluigi Ascenzi of my firm, and we have David Colindres of San Marino Registry, and that's it, but really enough to have the first round table starting. Grazie a tutti, se prendiamo posizione iniziamo.
Thanks, Laura. Thanks everyone for not taking up the opportunity to go traveling around Rome this afternoon in the sun. It must have been very tempting. It's a real privilege to be here today to moderate this panel. Thank you for yourselves for coming. Thank you to EBAA, IBAA, Lewis University, Laura's team, and the excellent translators for putting on a superb event. Sincere apologies for running the only panel in English today. My wife is Italian, and yet I seem to have learned absolutely niente in 20 years of marriage. So I promise that I'll practice harder, and next year, when we come back next year, I'll attempt to run a session in Italian. So sorry. At Clyde Co, we have about 100 aviation lawyers across the world. For my part, I've spent about 10 years focusing on the business jets market, acting for financiers, operators, owners. So really, what I've seen in 10 years is two good years, and 8 years not so good. Times have been hard, and a very well-known broker, valuator from Freestream, once told me he thinks this business industry works in cycles of 7 years, almost biblical 7 years. So 7 years good, 7 years bad. Though from what I see, things got bad. Valuations plummeted in about the summer of 2007 during the LIBOR crisis. So even before the Lehman Brothers collapsed in 2008, we could see signs summer 2007 that things were turning in this market. So 8 years is quite a long time, and if evaluators is right and we work in 7 year cycles, the upturn is now overdue and on its way. My wife's family support Fiorentina, and as we sit here now, it's great to be able to say that Fiorentina sits at the top of Serie A for the first time since 1999. So, as we say in English, all good things come to those who wait. Fiorentina has waited 16 years to be at the top of Serie A, and now we're there. The business jets world waited 8 years for recovery, and hopefully recovery is now due. Because as we've seen this morning, the economic signs in Italy are good. GDP growth has been 0.9% in 2015, and is projected to be 1.6% next year. And as Fabio said this morning, business jets activity tends to follow GDP quite closely. So all signs are promising, and in that light, I think the sort of two main focuses of the panel today will be sort of two interlinked questions, really. Why has the business jets market in Italy suffered more than it suffered in other comparable countries? Because as some of the stats showed this morning, it has. And the second interlinked question is, a recovery is almost certainly on its way. How do we ensure that Italy maximizes the benefits from that recovery in a way that the stats during the recession would suggest that it might not, unless if it doesn't do certain things to aid that? The question for the panel is Italy a difficult place to run a business jet operation? The question kind of begs the answer in itself, because obviously if we just said no, it's not, then we can all go home. It's fairly, there's not a lot to talk about in 45 minutes. So clearly the question begging itself, the answer presumably is yes. And we'll try and identify some of the issues and challenges which lead to that conclusion, picking up on quite a number of the themes that we looked at this morning. I think as Laura promised this morning, we'll be careful not to just indulge in sort of delude you with the litany of complaints. I think the key is to sort of, things are wrong in every business jet market you can look at. If you want to see problems and issues, go to China, go to Russia. Italy's not unique in having problems in the way that the business jets market works or operates. But I think what we're trying to focus on is what is unique about Italy, and therefore, if it's unique, it can be fixed because other countries don't operate that way and/or have fixed it. So I say it's a real privilege to be able to introduce such a superb panel this afternoon. On my left, we have Comandante Pietro Zaccari, who will be very well known to many of you from his work, in particular for IBAA and on flight safety. Pietro has been a commercial airline pilot since 1980, and is currently a board member of Alba, which operates aircraft, amongst other things, on behalf of the Invest Group. Gianluigi Ascenzi is partner with Studio Pierallini. He has 13 years of experience with Pierallini in all aspects of commercial and business aviation, finance, leasing, trading, regulatory, and is highly experienced in the Italian jet sector. And David Colindres is responsible for running the San Marino Aircraft Registry. The San Marino Aircraft Registry was set up in December 2012 and now has 107 business jets on its register, so that's quite substantial and impressive growth in less than 3 years. The San Marino Aircraft Registry, for those who were here this morning, was described as being like heaven. So that's quite an endorsement. I think that should go straight on the website, David, as a direct quote, unsolicited. So over to Pietro for sort of initial thoughts on the question: is Italy a difficult place to run a business jets operation?
Penso che sì, probabilmente non necessariamente più difficile di altri stati, sicuramente fra gli stati europei non è il più facile. Abbiamo sentito questa mattina già diversi argomenti che è inutile riprendere, la fiscalità ovviamente è un problema, sugli aeroporti sono sicuro che c'è un grossissimo margine di miglioramento, molti associati ci riportano ovviamente delle problematiche e quindi sicuramente l'accessibilità agli aeroporti è un problema. Pensate, abbiamo aeroporti in posti come Napoli, Venezia, che hanno anche, al di là dell'aspetto business, ma hanno una connotazione molto importante per il turismo, ovviamente di fascia molto alta, ma che sono in qualche modo pieni, non riescono a gestire il traffico nostro in quanto è il prevalente l'azione del vettore commerciale. Quindi non investendo su piazzali siamo costretti a subire degli slot per arrivare, slot per ripartire, non potendo sostare. Immaginate che disastro è dover riposizionare 2 volte un aereo vuoto, ovviamente pagando tutti i diritti di questa terra come se fossimo pieni. Succede in diversi aeroporti italiani, dove anche lì si è visto tanti lavori sulle infrastrutture dell'aviazione commerciale, quindi tenendo conto della trasposizione del terminal fondamentalmente in un SUC. Penso che tutti siamo stati a Fiumicino, cose del genere. In realtà il lavoro che interessa di più a noi a livello infrastrutturale sono i piazzali. E quelli chiaramente c'è una sorta di distrazione cronica in Italia, almeno. Abbiamo un problema non vorrei generalizzare e non voglio essere frainteso, di oversight da parte dell'autority, nel senso che non abbiamo ancora fatto, secondo me, come Italia, un passo verso tutte quelle, tutti i nuovi regolamenti europei che di fatto si sono sovrapposti alle nostre norme nazionali, che sappiamo tutti, vedete, no? Ma quelle nazionali non si contano più, in realtà sono lì e sono ancora oggetto di auditing e via discorrendo. Quindi anche qua sicuramente è una delle cose che potrebbero diciamo, venire risolte con, con degli strumenti anche abbastanza semplici, e quindi permetterci di poter combattere ad armi pari e vedere anche in Italia una, come dire, ripartire il nostro settore della business aviation. Settore che in realtà non è mai morto veramente, però immaginatevi per noi diciamo operatori, e oltretutto siamo quasi tutti appassionati, perché probabilmente se no non riusciremo a farlo, vedere negli ultimi mesi aeromobili di gruppi italiani pesanti dal punto di vista economico, che acquistano aerei nuovi di rilievo e li registrano e li fanno operare da authority, diciamo, fuori dall'Italia. È chiaro che questo è un problema vero, nel senso è fatto tutto a norma, quindi voglio dire è legittimissimo, e se hanno fatto questa scelta siamo noi che dobbiamo chiederci perché hanno fatto questa scelta. Probabilmente perché è più conveniente, perché è più efficiente, perché è più vero. Io non posso immaginare, ho parlato ovviamente anche con loro, quindi è tutto un sistema. Pensate solo alla confusione che c'è in Italia ancora sulla definizione di business aviation. Vorrei ricordare che ICAO si è espressa in un annesso, senza tediare magari quelli meno, dove ha definito la corporate aviation diciamo, ICAO ha sempre definito in modo chiaro che c'è l'aviazione commerciale e poi diceva tutto quello che non è commerciale è aviazione generale. Ora, molti operatori commerciali come Alba, che rappresento, e qui ce n'è, insomma, prima Baviera ha parlato, ci sono altri operatori italiani, quando stranamente siamo operatori commerciali, a norma ICAO, perché quello siamo, quando c'è un NOTAM che dice che l'aviazione generale non può atterrare per questo o quell'altro motivo, non possiamo atterrare noi. Scusi, ma io sono commerciale. No, no, tu sei aviazione generale. Quando facciamo le tariffe fa comodo che siamo aviazione generale perché costano 4 volte di più e quindi ritorniamo di nuovo a non essere commerciali per quella frazioncina lì. E quando fa comodo imporre sui nostri passeggeri una tassa di 100 o 200 euro a seconda delle distanze, come abbiamo appreso prima, ritorniamo commerciali. Vedete che già abbiamo così anche un problema di identità. Se poi parliamo di retaggi che purtroppo ci portiamo dietro, anche per colpa nostra, devo dire, nostra degli operatori italiani, sembriamo un po' discriminati anche per motivi di safety, cosa che è assolutamente dimostrabile attraverso i dati che tra l'altro Brian Humphrey loro pubblicano i dati di studi veramente attendibili, e si vede che il nostro settore è fra i più sicuri, quindi non c'è motivo di discriminarci sulla base della safety, come a volte ci sentiamo dire diciamo da auditors. Quindi a maggior ragione oggi che abbiamo una norma che è performance based, per chi non, diciamo, il tentativo del normatore europeo è di passare da una norma come dire, stringente, puntuale, a cui bisogna dare una rispondenza certa, passare a una norma che va a vedere le performance e valuta con dei risk assessment diciamo, le performance dell'operatore. Ora è un passo ovviamente che prenderà tanto tempo perché ci vuole uno shift culturale piuttosto importante. Io penso che l'Italia, per avere, diciamo, e dare una giusta dignità al nostro settore, parlo dell'aviazione d'affari, debba fare. Quindi tutti noi, me compreso, diciamo, tutti gli attori del nostro comparto devono veramente cercare di andare in questa direzione. Io credo fermamente che questo sia uno dei problemi più grossi. Poi è chiaro che tutte le cose che abbiamo detto prima, fiscalità, accesso agli aeroporti, è chiaro che hanno una componente importante.
Thanks, Pietro. Do you think it's inherently more costly to run an Italian business jets operation than a foreign operation in Italy? I'm thinking employment legislation.
The answer is yes. Dicevo prima che le norme europee si sono sdraiate su delle norme nazionali, o norme magari non scritte come norme, magari sotto forma di circolari, regolamenti tecnici o cose del genere, che istituiscono di fatto dei requisiti normativi. Quindi è chiaro che avendo più requisiti normativi l'operazione diventa più costosa. Quindi questo è un po' il, diciamo. Poi c'è probabilmente anche un altro aspetto che è legato per esempio al costo del personale, sia navigante che non. Pensate anche al discorso che non siamo riusciti a sviluppare, nonostante molti ci abbiano provato, noi compresi, a sviluppare dei poli di manutenzione in Italia, dei poli di addestramento, quindi scuole per, diciamo, non di primo livello, diciamo iniziali, ma diciamo quelle che fanno in pratica i type rating, diciamo, i passaggi macchina importanti. Vi ricordo che a parte nel nostro mondo c'è l'addestramento iniziale, poi c'è un addestramento di routine che per un commerciale è ogni 6 mesi e per un privato è comunque annuale. Quindi c'è bisogno, noi dobbiamo comunque andare all'estero, perdendo tempo, perdendo soldi, investendo soldi, e chiaramente potendo avere dei centri nazionali potremo avere dei benefici economici notevoli.
Gianluigi, as a lawyer working in the sector in Italy, what do you see as the main difficulties or issues or challenges you have to address?
First, thanks to EBAA and IBAA for the invitation to this forum. I'm honored to be part of this so distinguished panel. The topic here is if it is difficult to run the air operation in Italy, and if there is any specific issue that we have in Italy. I see a lot of friends here. With most of them, we have been involved in several deals, sometimes on the same side, sometimes on different sides of the table. But I think that we have always managed each transaction in order to arrive to a positive conclusion. So everybody is working for the business, and everybody here has always worked for the business in the light of the business. Our approach to structuring a deal is always business-oriented. What is not business-oriented in our system? I think that most of you may consider the so-called ad opponendum procedure, which is something that Alessandro Baviera was mentioning 1 hour and a half ago, and I think that most of you may agree with me that this is something which is quite peculiar in the Italian system and quite peculiar for the Italian system. The ad opponendum procedure, as you may know, is the procedure that has to be applied once an aircraft has to be deregistered from the Italian Aircraft Registry.
in some circumstances. So not in all the cases, but only in some circumstances. So mainly when the aircraft loses the EU nationality requirements, or when it has to be registered in another non-EU country by the owner. So registration of aircraft is not an issue. Registration of an aircraft in Italy is not an issue at the very beginning of any transaction. Aircraft can be easily registered in Italy by an owner meeting the EU nationality requirements, which means that the owner is an individual, or a citizen of EU, Italian or another EU member state, of course state, regions, municipalities or other public administration entities, or companies which whose shareholding structure is ultimately controlled by EU citizens, and whose board of directors is composed mainly by EU citizens, Italian or other EU member state citizens. If the aircraft is not owned by a company meeting the EU nationality requirements, this does not affect the possibility to operate the aircraft in Italy, and this can be done giving the aircraft to an Italian operator holding an air carrier license. In this case, the aircraft is registered directly in the name of such an Italian operator. Generally, in Italy, aircraft are granted to the use of aircraft is given to Italian operators through recognized kind of agreements in our system, such as lease agreements, either financial or operating leases. But also comodatum. We have had experience in the past also about the comodatum. In Italy, it is not applied, it is not recognized, the concept of management agreement, which is something which is a flexible instrument, and a flexible kind of agreement to give the availability of aircraft to operators, but unfortunately it would not be recognized for the registration in Italy. The point is that the registration, as I said, is quite easy. It is not an issue. The issue can come when the aircraft has to be deregistered. How this 60 days ad opponendum procedure affects the market? It affects the market in respect of two, let's say, aspects. The first aspect is related to the costs, because the 60 days, it is difficult to find on the market a buyer of an aircraft which wants to wait 60 days to see whether it, at the very end, will be able to deregister the aircraft and move the aircraft away from Italy and register in another country, non-EU. Then the costs, because in order to avoid the 60 days ad opponendum procedure, the last registered owner is required. It is a faculty, by the way, but if he wants to deregister with urgency, then the owner has to apply for an appraisal to be made by an ENAC officer, then has to file with ENAC a bank guarantee covering exactly the value of the aircraft as appraised by the ENAC officer. And of course, bank guarantees have a cost, so this is another way in which this can affect a deal, and also the time, because you have to find the availability of the ENAC officers. You have to see where the aircraft is located in the moment in which you want an ENAC officer performing the appraisal, and so on. The second main aspect is that this, for sure, is something which put Italy and used aircraft registered in Italy a step back than the aircraft of the same model, of the same type, registered in other countries, because a US investor, a prospective purchaser coming from the US, coming from China, would prefer, in some circumstances, aircraft registered in other countries where the registration procedure would be faster than aircraft registered in Italy, just because most probably
Gianluigi, sorry, do you allow me, given my older appurtenance to our firm, to ask you to speak about whether or not the opponendum procedure applies when the aircraft is registered according to the second paragraph? Because I was speaking to Alessandro Barrera, who before lunch was mentioning the opponendum, and I told him that this doesn't apply whenever you register the aircraft in the name of the operator, and this was something which interested a lot. So maybe this helps
no, it's
a bit
absolutely.
to avoid
The ad opponendum procedure does only apply when the aircraft loses the nationality requirements. This is because the aircraft is sold mainly to a non-EU citizen. When the aircraft is registered in Italy according to the second paragraph of Article 756 of the Navigation Code, the ad opponendum procedure does not apply when the aircraft is returned by the Italian operator to the non-EU owner of the aircraft. By the way, the ad opponendum procedure does not apply also in the case in which an Italian owner or a EU member state owner wants to deregister the aircraft in order to move it to another EU registry. For example, deregistering an aircraft from Italy in order to register it in France would not result in the ad opponendum procedure being applied. Yes.
Of an Italian owner in my operations. An aircraft of an Italian owner in my operations. If I buy the aircraft as Eurofly and then resell it to Mexico, I don't do the non opponendum.
No, if you buy, you will be the last registered owner
So
in the Italian Aircraft Registry. So when you will sell it to Mexico, then this would apply.
Okay, so then
But in that case, you have bought the aircraft as first step.
okay, I see. Okay, thank you.
Okay, coming to other some other peculiarities of the Italian system, going very fast. I would mention the main rules that we have, which are quite particular in Italy. The first one is Law 324 of 1976, which provides the joint liability of owners of aircraft with the Italian operator for the payment of airport duties. So if the operator is in default or forget to make the payment of the airport duties, the airports can directly require the payments to the owner of the aircraft. Another specific rule is Article 802, second paragraph of the Navigation Code, which allows ENAC to prevent the takeoff of aircraft in respect of which the owner in respect of which there is any outstanding amount for the payment of, again, airport duties or ENAV fees, or even Eurocontrol duties. Then a more detailed specification has been made by ENAC through a circular, the circular 22, EAL 22. the last, let me say, specific issue that we have is set forth by Article 1057 of the Navigation Code, which is the authorization that has to be granted by the Minister of Transportation should an attachment has to be made against aircraft on an aircraft that is scheduled for line services. Apart of that, a quick overview on taxes, because I have seen that this is a lot of interest for this session. Taxes applicable to when structuring a transaction in respect of aircraft. In Italy, income taxes are payable at a rate of 27.5% on each payment of lease rentals. In order to avoid double taxation, Italy has entered into several double taxation treaties with other countries in order to reduce or even to exempt the payments of lease rentals from this tax. For example, with the double taxation treaty between Italy and Ireland does exempt the payments. The one that we have with the United States or the United Kingdom does provide a reduced rate payable. Finally, the concept of end user. Mark, you asked us what is different in Italy. In Italy, we did not, we have not recognized the concept of end user. This means that when structuring a deal, when structuring a transaction in respect of an aircraft, this may have an impact on the decision how to structure a deal, because only airlines qualifying as international airlines are allowed to the zero VAT rate when importing aircraft, and also the custom duties, zero rate custom duties, but only if the importer and the company taking the aircraft is a qualified international airline, meaning that most, at least 50+1% of the flights are operated on international routes. Otherwise, the zero rate is applicable only if the aircraft is already admitted to the free circulation in the EU territory. Thank you.
Thanks, Gianluigi, for a very, very thorough coverage of what's unique in Italy from a legal perspective. Does anybody have any questions for Gianluigi at this stage? Or should I have questions at the end? I have a question, but I'll leave it for later because I'm conscious that it's all getting very depressing, and I think we need to hear from David. I think we need to hear from David because I can see him chafing at the bit, saying I've got some answers and I've got some solutions. So let's hear them.
Definitely. First of all, thank you for the invitation, IBA and ABA and Studio Pierallini. Happy to be here and participate in this panel. First of all, I'd like to start to give a brief introduction about San Marino, how San Marino was born as being a San Marino, the youngest per se offshore registry out of the handful that there exist. San Marino actually started in 2007. It was a project that it was started by our chairman of a company, who's my father. We're an American company based in Miami, Florida. And in 2007, we approached the San Marino government. And this was as an initiative after so many problematics in civil aviation and fiscality. So it's a growing demand, and that's why registries like San Marino exist. And we went to San Marino, and it took from 2007 to 2012 to actually develop the registry. And why so long? First of all, in order for the registry to be successful and where it is now, the government must understand the business model. what they need to understand the nature of the aircraft owners. Who are the aircraft owners? They are multinational corporations, they are businessmen, they are the most influential people in our world. So when you have clients of this nature in your registry, and they come to you and they wish to register an aircraft, of course, you need to have all the attributes in order for that client to come and register your aircraft. When I say attributes, you have to have service, you have to have expertise, you have to have experience, you have to have a large network of inspectors nowadays throughout the world in order to service the clients, be reactive, because at the same time, it reduces the cost of the inspection fees and registration of the aircraft and time it takes to register the aircraft. And as you can see, our philosophy in the first slide is business approach to air safety, because we believe strongly that nowadays this is what the industry is demanding for. Is we are not, I mean, air safety is first, and that's our slogan, okay? First of all, the majority of the inspectors, when I say the majority, I'll say about 60 our guys, we have 65 guys in the inspector network come from the ex-UKCAA. And why the ex-UKCAA? Because their training program as a civil aviation authority is very intense, is very good. And we don't take anyone with less than 20-year experience coming from the ex-UKCAA. So whoever is retiring from the Gatwick office, they become a consultant. We take them on board as a San Marino inspector. And at the same time, we take higher level inspectors from the FAA. The main reason behind this is that as a registry like San Marino, you don't have an engineering department where you have to accept the type certification basis of EASA, the FAA, Transport Canada, or Brazil. So you need experts who can understand the certification of the aircraft, because if an aircraft comes from the FAA, that aircraft will need to follow the TC basis of the FAA while being on the registry. And it will apply for any other type certification. So it's very important. And something that Gianluigi said is the deregistration scenario, because as a aircraft registry, you need to be able to service the entire business cycle, okay? Since the moment the aircraft is registered in your jurisdiction, and then let's say the owner decides to sell the aircraft, and you have a buyer, and you tell the seller, yeah, but I need an export. He tell, but I cannot give you an export. You have to wait 60 days or 30 days for an inspector. And then buyer says, impossible, like I need to buy the aircraft. And it happens, vice versa. We have clients coming into the registry saying, would you register the aircraft without an export? And we ask, why can you get an export? He says, because the authority where the aircraft is registered now, they are telling me it's not going to take until 60 days because they don't have availability, they don't have an inspector. Would you accept it? And it's difficult because an export certificate of airworthiness, and a lot of the owners will not understand, and you have the brokers pushing the deal to close it, and then there is the information that is being divulged in the group is not the correct, because they're saying, it's the authority who doesn't accept the aircraft without the export. But they need to understand something is very important. From the moment that aircraft is registered in your jurisdiction, and when that exporting authority has issued that export, it attests the type certification of that aircraft when we take it on board into the registry, telling us that the aircraft that has been on that particular registry has been in compliance with the FAA or EASA. And then that aircraft will follow the history, come into a registry, and then will follow the same type certification basis. And then when that document trails is lost, somewhere there is when mistakes come, where operators go and install EASA STCs that are sometimes not validated by the FAA. Then when you go and try to resell the aircraft, pre-buy inspection comes, and they said, oh, sorry, but you need to redo the STCs. It's going to cost you $500,000, or just per se, depends on the STC that is done. So it's very important when considering an aircraft registry is to have experience and expertise, and this is what we as an aircraft registry strive for, and when we are very obsessive and in the terms of having a very selective procedure to hiring personnel, staff, and everything. more or less, I think you've been through the slides. I just put a small, if we can go to the first slide. Brief information about San Marino, oldest republic in the world, dates back to the year 300. It's located about 3 hours northeast of Rome. It's an independent republic. We are actually as well direct contracting of ICAO, which would happen to be the only one from the handful of registries, because the other registries are actually dependent on their kingdom. Then you have the Bermuda, Cayman, and the Isle of Man, who depend on the UK. So there is flexibility. It gives more flexibility for us because we have the direct communication in order to adopt standards or recommended practices by ICAO. We're also a member of ECAC. And Cape Town ratification, we have been since January 1st, 2015. And this has been actually a main development in our registry, and we're happy to say here that since then we've been collaborating with Studio Pierallini in our latest mortgage registries, with our local San Marino Council, who's actually in the room as well, because it has imposed a lot of the business for the major banks and leasing companies around the world to register aircraft, and having adopted a very good ratification of the Cape Town Convention. Sorry? T7. T7, Tango 7. Yes. And then you can customize 3 letters after T7, letters of choice. Taxation, none. And this is actually one of the major delays of executing the contract between our organization and the government of San Marino. At the time when we went to San Marino, there was taxation on aircraft. So we told the government of San Marino, the only reason that we are going to take this contract and develop it and manage the registry is to remove taxation and other things that we found in our report. Initially, taxation was only removed for aircraft above 5,700 kilos. And now has been removed also for aircraft below, which was done, Dennis, 30 days ago, more or less? Something like that. So now every aircraft, and also for, of course, aircraft and helicopters. Eligibility for registration. Happy to say that we were the pioneers in this new concept, which was, we're the only registry who didn't impose the condition for the owner to create a San Marino company or a San Marino entity to qualify for registration. So if the owner is coming from another jurisdiction and the owner has already a structure in the Isle of Man, Bermuda, Cayman, BVI, that company who holds title of the aircraft qualify legally by registration in San Marino, and is the company who will appear on the certificate of registration. So it makes it very efficient and convenient, especially when you are in a selling, buying transaction. It makes it very fast, because it's also nowadays takes time, because maybe that particular owner has already gone through the due diligence process of creating a company. And nowadays, to create a company with all the new requirements takes weeks, sometimes months as well. So if you impose for that particular owner, listen, you have already structure, but you have to do another structure, because we need to involve a company in San Marino. And then you have to wait 2-3 weeks while we ask you for every single documents, birth certificate of your grandmother, you mention it, in order you to open a company for you. So there's something else that was removed. This is our global network. The blue dots represent the airworthiness inspectors we have worldwide. We have inspectors in Seattle, Washington, in Phoenix, Arizona, Dallas, Texas, and Virginia. In Europe, we have in London, Scotland, Zurich, Rome, Russia, Moscow, and we have in Dubai, and we have in Singapore and Hong Kong. Sorry? In Wellington, we're in New Zealand. And then the green dots Nigeria, Lebanon. There is one missing because it's the recent one we have executed, are the 83Bs bilateral agreements, whereby an operator can use the local AOC and register in San Marino. So we have the national carrier of Lebanon registered in San Marino, Middle East Airlines, with the Airbus 320s registered in San Marino and operating under the Lebanese AOC. And in Nigeria, we have a business jet operator as well, operating in Kaduna. And the newest addition is Saudi Arabia. We just executed a contract with Saudi Arabia for operators to use their Saudi Arabia AOC and register in San Marino. And this was done with Privatair, Saudi Arabia, was a subdivision of Privatair Switzerland. And the pink dots represent the flight operations inspectors we have, which we have in London and in Glasgow. London is for us the largest pool of inspectors. We have more than 20 inspectors just in the London area to service the European market. It just happened to be that more than 50% of the aircraft inspections are in London, Switzerland, or Germany. So it's very convenient for the inspectors to move around. They can, in 1 hour, they can inspect the aircraft, come back, send a report to the Civil Aviation Authority, register the aircraft. So it's very important to meet the client's deadlines. Type of operations, private, corporate, aerial work, commercial air transport. We have close to now 85 aircraft on private and corporate basis. Aerial work, none. Commercial air transport, we have 22. 22 divided on the 83Bs agreements I mentioned, and then we have 2 AOCs that have been issued so far. One has been issued to ACAS, which is actually in the room. It's a subsidiary of ACAS Canada. They were the first AOC in San Marino. Carlo, from ACAS. And the second one was issued a couple of weeks ago, which is the largest business jet operator in the UAE, which is Empire Aviation. And they operate close to 30 plus aircraft. So that's the latest edition of the AOC. This is a new development, which actually will be into existence the 1st of October, which says, and this is an initiative coming from the NCC rule. Any operator who is based in Europe and is operating any of our aircraft, by the NCC rule says that you need to have a CAMO agreement. So therefore, we said, okay, good, we can do, and we will give that particular aircraft a certificate of airworthiness for 24 months, whereby our authority will carry out the initial inspection, and then it will be the CAMO. They have to have a CAMO Plus, just like the ARC system. They will do it, and every other year it's inspected by our authority. So it's actually coming very handy because it will save cost for the aircraft owners, because they already hold a CAMO agreement with a particular entity, so they will be able to recommend the COA to continue on the anniversary date, having the client save cost on the annual, because then you don't have to have the aircraft inspected, especially in your case, because we are actually, Alessandro Javier is a client of ours. We have 2 aircraft, and you have a CAMO Plus, which you will qualify for this, for a 20 more COA, whereby you will do the intermediate recommendation for the COA, which is very important. This one, you can skip. I already spoke. Also, I spoke about this, and I think it's pretty much it I had to say. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Dave, for a very excellent introduction to San Marino, which will be very helpful, I think, for anybody who's looking to move an aircraft onto the San Marino register. A very all-encompassing, very large question, and considering they've only got a couple of minutes, it's slightly unfair, but probably for Gianluigi. David was saying that San Marino has ratified the Cape Town Convention, which, for those of you who aren't familiar with it, is an international treaty which aids financiers and lessors by allowing for the registration of aircraft and enacting certain standardized rules in relation to enforcement. Do you think Italy is held back in terms of attracting aircraft to its register by not being a Cape Town contracting state, or is that irrelevant, or when will it become a contracting state?
Actually, Italy is a signatory of the Cape Town Convention, even if it has not yet ratified the same, so it is not applicable. The point is that when each time there is a potential deal, lenders are very much interested to know whether the Cape Town Convention is applicable or not, and this makes a difference for them, but let me say more from a formal point of view rather than a substantial point of view. So actually, my opinion is that the ratification of the Cape Town Convention is not really one of the main issues that we may have in Italy in order to attract more business.
I suppose Dale would say, what are the main issues that sort of would put financiers off the Italian register?
Fine.
I mean, for example, why are most Alitalia aircraft registered in Ireland?
Yeah, but as before we had the intervention of Mr. Manfredini, talking about the most important point from my point of view, of course, the dialogue that has to be started each time a transaction is going to be structured. We have had in the past experiences with Mediocredito Italiano, with other few Italian financiers, and each time if in few cases we have not been able to make the deal was because there were certain rules, internal rules applied by the Italian banks, which we have not been able to overcome. And we have had a really recent experience with Mr. Manfredini just a couple of months ago, in which starting a dialogue, starting a discussion, analyzing all the aspects, seeing what had to be done exactly, we have been able to be successful in, let me say, in a very successful deal. So the discussion is very much important.
Just a few words, because Gianluigi escaped a little bit the presentation. One of the main issues which is not sorted out by Cape Town, and this is maybe why Cape Town is more formal than substantial issue, as Gianluigi said, is the repossession of the aircraft. You know, Mark, we had also some discussion on this in the past. Cape Town yet has not sorted out the repossession. It is one of the plan, as you know, otherwise the lenders will not apply any more discount. We were discussing several conventions. So because the local legislation is still competent about the repossession issue, then Cape Town is not the solution, because in Italy, self-help remedies are not available. You have to go through the court, through the bailiff, and this is for foreigners, if you agree, Gianluigi, the main point, so which has not been solved so far by Cape Town.
No, I think in my experience, the lack of self-help remedy is probably one of the main issues. Though that said, in my experience, most repossessions of business jets that I've done have been on a voluntary basis, so the owner basically hands the aircraft back, and that's where having a reliable operator is key, because 9 times out of 10 we're going through the operator to go and get the aircraft back, and the owner's either disappeared or just not interested or just hands the keys back. So 9 times out of 10 the aircraft will be repossessed, in inverted commas, because it's actually just given back and we don't have to go through the courts at all. It's been a really fantastic, enlightening session. I'm afraid we're really running short of time, but if anybody does have any sort of last burning questions, then please feel free to ask. That's a bit of a preamble to put you off asking any questions, isn't it? But we are running out of time. Excellent, no questions. Normally that's very disappointing, but on this occasion that helps us. Oh, sorry.
Yes, no, because with Rosati, first of all, you have to thank Pete Settembre, because he is the man that made the first paperwork for the registry San Marino was made by him. So at those times, our aim also with EBAA was to have in San Marino the Wilmington Delaware of Europe, where to put all the private aircraft and executive aircraft for the European market. We didn't succeed at that moment to be recognized San Marino as a European country. we failed. Are you doing something in this direction now? Do you have some negotiation? First question. Second question. Rosati said that maybe, if we well understood what you said, you can register an aircraft San Marino, like we have done with my son, but then put this aircraft in a European AOC to be able to do public transportation? Because my son say no, Rosati say yes. So I have an original question for you.
It's a family argument.
Yeah, both right.
It's a family dispute.
Regarding, first of all, thank you for your questions and thank you for the introduction. There is certain agreements that San Marino is trying to execute with Europe, but nothing to join fully the European Union, not yet. There's nothing being discussed or that I know of. And I can tell you, because we are very close to the government itself, we are often with the ministers, as this is a government project, we have a PPP partnership with the government, so we're often there and there's nothing there. And the sense from our side, it will change the entire business model of the registry per se. If San Marino were to join the European Union, therefore we'll have to join EASA as well, regime. Regarding operating an aircraft into European AOC, yes you can, but there is a limitation of, I believe, 7 months. It's a new legislation that was passed, let me remember, it was October 2014. That says that a European operator can engage in an 83 bis agreements with a foreign state, but no further than 7 months. After 7 months, you will have to register the aircraft in either the European states. Or, yes. Basically, what the European has done with this legislation is you can only have 83 bis agreements among their states. If you are a state outside of the community, you can only for a period of 7 months within a 12-month period, which means that you can do it temporarily. Let's say if you're doing, let's say, a seasonal charter, and then whereby 7 months you will do it, then you will move the aircraft somewhere else, depending on the market. And then, because it's in a 12-month, and then back next year, you will do it again. So you can do. Because we actually had a similar scenario with Romania. There was an airline in Romania who was seeking to register the aircraft in San Marino, operating under Romanian AOC. So we actually went to Bucharest. We had the negotiations, and at the table, it was up to actually the applicant to decide whether they can live with this limitation of the 7 months in a 12-month period. And unfortunately, they cannot because they wanted to do it continuously. Yeah. You're welcome. Yes, we do have a 40-year concession, and which actually we were discussing with Mark earlier. The agreement has been signed, the area has been assigned. We are just waiting for the fiscality to be clarified, which is supposed to be a decree from the Italian government to actually assign this land as being an extraterritorial and being San Marino fiscality, not Italian fiscality. So we've been waiting.
Yeah, I thought somebody was going to ask, where's the San Marino airport? And the answer is, it's in Rimini. Did you have one last point? So, okay. So thank you very much for the excellent panel, and thank you to the panel.
Thank you.
And with this, we move to the last roundtable, which will be moderated by Marco Rosati, who has been called for the San Marino registry. I have also a communication. You can download all the presentation by the website. Andiamo adesso all'ultimo panel e volevo anche ricordare che tutte le presentazioni, o quasi tutte, saranno scaricabili dal website di EBAA, credo immediatamente da dopo l'evento, quindi chi fosse interessato